Hello everybody, welcome to this impromptu live stream which is going on right now. Let me know when you are tuning in. Where are you from? Where are you tuning in from? Let me know that you can hear me. There's a huge storm going on right now, so it's raining hardcore over here in Costa Rica, but I think you guys can hear me okay. I just finished a beautiful Zoom with the Ignite with Regan tribe. We did an amazing activation. So I think everything is loud and clear and good. Argentina, Mexico, hello from the UK, Netherlands, welcome guys. Hi from Dallas, Croatia, London, UK, Cape Town, Sweden. Planet Earth is here. So good. We've got Iceland, Thailand, Lithuania, Swissy, amazing. Gold Coast, Australia, California. Welcome guys. UK, Australia. So good. Dominican Republic, Brazil, New York, San Jose. Well, hi, Danny. Nice to see you here. We are back in Costa Rica right now. I'm here for a whole, I think, another couple of days before we get on a plane and head out to Mindvalley University, which is part of why I actually wanted to jump on here because, you know, I was thinking about my keynote that I did last year at Mindvalley University, which has since gone very viral, and there's been lots of pieces of that which have gone very viral, and I think it's helped a lot of people. But the whole talk for 90 minutes was actually on bending time and how to bend time to accelerate your manifestations. And I was thinking about that today because I was thinking, what should I talk about at Mindvalley this year? I have some ideas, but I'm still just landing into, like, again, the most profound, most amazing thing to dive into. And this concept of time bending has been so present to me because I just finished this Ignite with Regan activation, and always when we go through these activations, we're always working with the time, we're always bending the time to bring the future manifestations into the right now. And I touched on this also in my mastermind, which I just ran, Millions Manifesting and Magic. I finished that a couple of hours ago, and there was a big piece on time bending in there. And in my next Mindvalley training, the next couple of Mindvalley trainings, actually, we're going deeper and deeper into building time, into bending time, and actually building that as a tool in the manifestation toolkit. So I'm just really present to time bending right now. So I wanted to jump on with you guys and have a little bit of a conversation around this, and hopefully drop a little bit of wisdom that is useful for you on your manifestation journey. So give me a yes if you're wanting me to go into this a little bit more, and if you want to unpack some of these pieces, because, you know, time really is one of the big things that sets people apart from whether they're a high-level manifester or not, and also how quickly they can manifest or not, right? Yay, yes, so good. Can you explain what it means when you talk about time bending? I absolutely can, yes. You see, when you come into high-level manifestation, it's actually no longer a conversation of will I manifest this or not? Will I create this or not? Is this possible for me or not? Because at that stage, when you're a high-level manifester, you know that you're going to manifest the thing because it's going to show up, because it's just who you are, right? And it's not a question of will it happen or how will I make it happen? It's a question of how quickly can it happen? And how quickly can it happen depends on your capacity to bend the time and the space. All right. And so this is what I want to just unpack a little bit with you. And yes, I do go into this in my quest at Mindvalley. I do go into time bending actually in pretty much all of my, high level programs and trainings, because it is such an important piece. So where do we start? We must firstly remember that time is a construct. Time is an illusion, and it's a construct, and it's actually a very useful construct. We need it because if someone says, hey, I'll call you at 1 p.m., we need to know when that is, okay? So there's a lot of people saying like, oh, time's the devil and we need to not have any more time and just live out of time. And I'm like, no, like we need time. And we need this man-made grid and construct of the illusion of how we perceive time to be. So when we're processing time and space and we realize that it is a man-made grid which we have constructed in order to create meeting points and crossover points in what we now call time, we start remembering that time is actually this malleable, lucid structure that we can actually play with and that we have access to. And if you start having a relationship with time where you start realizing that you're able to play with the time, you're able to bend the time, you're able to utilize the time as a construct and as a tool in your manifestation toolkit, then all of a sudden you start realizing that as a sovereign manifester, time is one of the most powerful assets that you have available to you. I say this all the time to my clients. I say, look, either the time is altering you or you're altering the time. One of those two things are happening, regardless. So you better choose, right? Either you're being altered by the time or the time is altering you. Now, when we start realizing that we have this river of our own consciousness and we have this multidimensional, lucid, malleable structure, which is time, we can exit out of the old matrix of our consciousness that tells us that time is linear. We love to make things linear. Draw me a straight line it all up, make it make sense, put it in a box, put it in a bow around it, and my mind is like, yes, I understand it. I can process it. It's linear. It's straightforward. It has steps. It makes sense. But actually, time is very multidimensional. And time as a construct allows us to access actually different realms, realities, and dimensions. But in order to have those access points, we must step away from the linear path. We must play with it as a malleable construct and a malleable structure. And the coolest thing about this is that we can bend the time simply through our own consciousness. We can bend the time through our own perception. And I'll talk a little bit around how you can actually do this. You can stretch the time. You can make the time seem longer. You can make the time pass by shorter. And I use this in very practical ways in my life because I have a busy life with a lot of dogs, as you can maybe hear outside right now. I have a busy life with many things going on. And sometimes my days get crazy and I realize like, whoa, hang on, I have to be here and it takes me 30 minutes to drive there, but I only have 15 minutes to get there. And I bend the time and the space to play with it to make sure that I arrive on what we would call on time. Okay, so you can use this in a very tangible way, and you can also play with time bending when honestly you're doing things that feel like they're taking forever and you're really bored and you just want to be done with it. Maybe you've been on a flight, it's like the never-ending flight and you're like still 7 hours to go, right? And you're like sick of watching all the movies. Well, if you know how to bend the time, you can actually, you can speed this up, right? So you can play with this to stretch, to realign, to contract, to have time altered in a way where it's working for you. Now, when it comes to manifestation, this becomes very important because if you're able to connect with your future manifestation, the dream, the prayer, the vision that you know is yours to come into your life and into your reality, then if you connect with that, you're able to actually import that future manifestation into your now, allowing yourself to bend the time and space, allowing any old potential pathways that would have it take longer to drop, dissolve, shift, and clear out of your field and out of your system. And then the manifestation can come into the now with ease, with grace, and with flow, and on an accelerated pathway. So this is where we have people who manifest things very quickly, and other people are like, that's impossible. How did you do that fast? How did you make that amount of money that month when last month you only did that? How did this quantum leap take place? And yes, there's many elements to manifestation, but let me tell you that time is one of the biggest ones, okay? So when we step into this reality where we're able to play with the time and we remember that it's malleable and this is a construct that we're able to shift, then we're able to actually have the time working for us. And instead of living at the effect of time, living in unconscious reaction to time, which is again created through our own perception, which I'll talk about in a minute, we can actually bring our power back as sovereign manifestors, as sovereign independent beings of light, and say, you know what? From a deep place of intention and knowing my power, I can connect with my manifestation and bring it into the now faster, with ease, with grace, and with flow. Now, don't get me wrong, this is not about controlling. the process. This is not about contracting yourself and going, I have to make this happen, right? This is actually about allowing, surrendering. This is the feminine, right? Allowing the manifestation to co-create through you and appear in your life even faster. And when you master this, this is where miracles start to unfold. When you master this, this is when the quantum leaps start to happen. When you master this, this is where divine synchronicities lay themselves up in front of you. And you're just like sitting back being like, when did my life become this magical? Like, when did my life get this good? When did I get to manifest this quickly, right? Yeah, you're enjoying the process, right? Because everything's in flow and everything's actually synced up, okay? So where do we start with this? Because, you know, again, time bending is a huge portal. I don't know why I chose to open this portal on a live stream when I have a limited amount of time, but I trust this will be useful for you guys. So the first place to start, if you want to learn to bend the time, really is your own perception of time. As I said earlier, either you are altering the time or the time is altering you. One of those two things are happening, so you need to make a conscious choice. Are you someone who alters the time, or are you someone who lives in unconscious reaction to the time? Okay, now it's through your perception that the time begins to shift and merge and blur and alter. It's through your perception that you're able to bend the time. Now, we know this through the observer effect in quantum physics, because we know it's proven through multiple different experiments that simply by observing a particle a different way, it can either remain a particle or it can collapse into a wave pattern. Basically, it can change its state. So what if we were to observe our perception of what we call time in a different way than someone else? That would mean that two different people observing time, the same time, two different ways, are going to have two different perceptual experiences of time. So when you take your power back and you start realizing like, well, hang on, like if I am the one as a sovereign manifester that's altering the time, then I'm able to shift my perception of time. So how would I love to experience time? Now, before we get here, we might have to go a layer deeper and look at how are we experiencing time right now. Now, I know for me that I was brought up in a family who loves me dearly and still do, but often there were sentences said like, hey, like, honey, we don't have enough time for that. Yeah, like that would be really fun and we could do this, but we don't have enough time. You know, Regan, there's only 24 hours in the day, right? Type in a yes if you've heard these things around time, or maybe you're even saying these things right now to yourself around time. How many times have you said to yourself, you know, I'd love to do that, but I just don't have time. I wish I had more time to do the things that I love. I would love to do this, but there's never enough time. There's only 24 hours in a day, right? Yeah, it's wild. And so if we are living in this scarcity relationship with time, and if we are functioning in a place where we're telling ourselves that we don't have enough time, we have no control over the time, there's never going to be enough time, we don't have the time to do the things that we love, it's going to take a really long time, by the way, to manifest what you desire. It's going to take a really long time to create a large amount of money. It's going to take a really long time to learn something so you could manifest more. If you have any of that running, just stop. Like, please, just stop. But I want you to also celebrate that you can see it. Because let's be honest, we all have this stuff running underneath the surface, right? We all have this stuff running. And if you're able to see that and take it from the unconscious running the system and bring it into the light, shining the light of your own awareness onto it, from here, you can witness and go, oh, hello. I don't like that relationship with time. Oh, hello. That's maybe not a very good thing to be perceiving time through. Hang on. That lens of time doesn't actually serve me at all. So if you have this stuff running under the surface, this is nothing to feel bad about, nothing to feel shameful or guilty about. In fact, I celebrate if you can catch it. Because if you can catch it and see it and be like, whoa, okay, I've told myself a lot of stories around time. Yeah, I do feel like I don't have enough time in the day. Yeah, I never get to do things that I love. Yeah, there's only 24 hours. Yeah, it's going to be hard and take a lot of time. If you can see those things, Congratulations. You're winning, because from there, now they're no longer unconscious. Your unconscious system is running the show. It's beating your heart. It's pumping the blood around your body. It's making your eyes blink. It's doing all of that. You're not thinking it, being like, how many times do I blink my eyes today? You're just blinking your eyes. Just as like you are also having your interaction with time. However, if we bring this from the unconscious and be like, okay, that's what's going on. From here, you can change it. As I said, I wasn't born going, time is malleable. I wasn't a 4-year-old running around being like, did you know time is lucid? I wasn't a 6-year-old being like, Mom, look, I know how to bend time. Like, I was not born that way. I conditioned myself to have this specific relationship with time from the inside out. And you can do this too. So if you go in there and you start witnessing your relationship with time, putting it all on the altar of life and saying, you know what, that doesn't really serve me, and I'm no longer tolerating that, and I'm just not okay with this relationship. From here, you can change it. From here, you can shift it, right? From here, how do you now desire to perceive time? How do you now desire to say, you know what? What if I chose to believe that time is one of the greatest assets that I have available? What if I chose to believe, and you write this out, right, that time is one of the most powerful tools in my manifestation toolkit? What if I chose to believe that I always have extra time? What if I chose to believe that time was such an epic tool in my toolkit that I could play with it, I could bend it, I could speed it up, I could slow it down, it's totally malleable and lucid, and it's something that I love, right? Your perception of time creates your reality that you then experience with time, okay? So if we start seeing this, if we start bringing this to the surface, and if we start recalibrating this, we start realizing like, okay, hang on, through the observer effect, I can actually start shifting my experience of time. What if time was one of the most powerful tools that you had? What if time was something that you were so excited to learn more about? What if time was one of your secret manifestation toolkit pieces, where when someone said like, whoa, like, how'd you do that so fast? You'd sit back and smile and be like, because I have a really awesome relationship with time. And this is not something that was handed to me. This is something that I birthed, that I crafted, that I allowed to emerge through me and anchor through me from the inside out. Because as I remember that I am a sovereign manifester, I am the co-creator of my reality in a constant interaction and dance with God, Great Spirit, the universe. From this frequency, of course, I would work with one of these tangible, malleable, lucid assets that I have around me. Yes? Yes? Who's already feeling like, okay, wait, hang on, like I need to sit down and really look at this stuff, right? I need to sit down and actually look at like, okay, well, what does this mean for me? So this is really where we start, right? We see what's under the surface, we bring it to the surface, we remember that our perception alters the time, right? And so then we start calibrating our relationship with time. We start shifting and upgrading it, and then allowing it to come into a place where all of a sudden we are having a different and better and more powerful and more lucid experience with time. Now, I just mentioned this actually on my mastermind. I said, you might think that you've never bent the time. You might think that that's some like superhero skill, ninja skill that like Regan and someone else has, but not you. We're bending the time all the time. We really are. We're living in a lucid state constantly with time. The question is, are you noticing? Okay, so how many times have you been doing something and then you're like, you think an hour's gone by and you're like, whoa, it was only 10 minutes. It's because the time bent, right? How many times has an hour gone by, or 10 minutes has gone by rather, and then you're like, oh my God, it's been an hour. It's because the time is bent, right? So one of the elements that helps us tap into an altered state of bending the time is our emotional frequency through our present awareness and our vibrational signature that we're imprinting onto our reality in order to create a different exchange with the universe. So let's say that two people walk into a waiting room. I just gave this example on my mastermind, and they're in a doctor's waiting room, and the first person walks in and there's something like terribly wrong with them, and it's a little bit of an emergency. They really need to see the doctor, and they're stressed out and they're sitting there, and then 7 minutes later the nurse comes and she calls that person's name, and the person's like, oh my God, it's been 7 minutes, but it feels like an hour and a half, right? The person's like, finally, okay? The second person in there also gets called 7 minutes later, except they're just there for some sort of checkup. They know everything's fine. It's just a routine procedure. And they've been scrolling Instagram this whole time. And it feels like 2 minutes has gone by, yet 7 minutes has gone by. Interesting. So two people, two different scenarios, called at exactly the same time. 7 minutes passed in time. Yet one had a very perceptual awareness that it took a very long time, and the other, it went quite fast. And the only difference between the two was the emotional signature that they were imprinting around this, okay? So if we start remembering this and we start bringing our presence into the now and into this awareness, we start realizing that it's our emotional signature that actually shifts and alters the time. It's our emotional signature is that unlock to the key that starts to warp the perception of time and the experience of time. So what if you were able to tap into your future prayer, dream, vision, manifestation that you know, that you're calling into your life and into your reality? If you're just connecting with that and you're like, okay, well, it'd be nice if it happened, I don't know if it will happen, but that would be cool if I manifested that goal. If you're there, right? Cool. That's going to take a certain amount of time. And if you're someone else who you connect with that dream, that prayer, that vision, that manifestation, and you're like, that's mine. Like, I know that. I feel that in my gut. I feel like that's laid out in the stars. I have a desire for that. Like, yes, I'm ready for that. And you say yes to that and you surrender into that and you feel the frequency of having already had it now. Something happens. Something happens because we start having a transfer of information from your future into the right now, which is accelerated through your emotional body. And your emotional body then affects your energetic body, which updates all of the pieces of information, which then creates the reflection externally in your 3D physical reality. You see, if we want to change our 3D physical reality, if we want to manifest whatever it is that we're looking to manifest, we must do that from the inside out. And we must do that to create the reflection through our mind, yes, but not just affirmations and running around. Vision boards, great. And what? You need to feel it, right? And then from there, the emotions imprint the energetic system, which then create the reflections. So, in order to do this, you come into the now and then you connect with your dream, your prayer, your vision, your desired outcome, your goal, whatever you want to call it, your manifestation, right? And you need to become a master of feeling. How does that feel to have already received that now? You get to become a master of closing your eyes and saying, okay, let me feel what it feels like to have already manifested what I desire. And the first time you do this, you might not feel anything. Do it again. And then do it again. And then do it again. And I promise you, if you keep doing it, you will feel something at one point in time. And when you do, catch it. Be like, that's the feeling. That feels really good. Right? That's the feeling. And when you tap into that, you tell yourself, okay, I'm going to double that feeling. I'm going to triple that feeling. You command that that feeling rushes through every single cell of your being and every single layer of your mental, emotional, energetic body, allowing for you to become a true and complete energetic match for what you're looking to call in. So now we have you at now, coming into vibrational alignment with your desire, dream, prayer, outcome, manifestation. And from this place, we know that the particles of your manifestation can impact the particles of you here right now. We know this through quantum physics. It is proven that particles can impact the other particles relative to distance, relative to how far away they may be perceived. No matter how far out that manifestation is in your future, these particles of your manifestation can impact the particles of now. So then what happens is they start entangling, and we start having what's called quantum entanglement through the quantum field of information. And we start merging, blending, becoming one with our manifestation. And when this happens, You have those moments where you're feeling what it feels like to have already manifested your dream, your prayer, your manifestation. And you have this almost lucid moment where you look around and you feel that it's already here, but then you look at your life and you're like, oh, but it's not here. I haven't manifested it yet. That's weird. I feel like it is here, but it's not here. And your lines become more lucid between the now and the future, which is a good thing, right? Some people are like, oh, that felt weird. I didn't know it was weird. No, it's not weird. It's good. That means you're blurring your reality. The more that we can blur our reality, the more that we can pull apart the structure of the perceived matrix of like, this is how it is, this is linear time, these are how my goals are going to manifest. The more we can shove all of that aside and pull it apart and bend it and make it malleable and have these altered states moments where you're like, it's almost like you wake up, right, and you've had a dream and you open your eyes and you're like, was that a dream? That felt very real. Did that happen? No, wait, I was dreaming. No, but that felt really real. Maybe it did happen. No, I was definitely dreaming, right? And it takes a moment for your conscious mind to process it. We want that to happen, okay? We want these pieces to fold and to blur. Because when this happens, this means the quantum entanglement is happening. This means that the particles of your desired manifestation are impacting you now. And from this place, you are syncing, fusing, and becoming one with your future manifestation. Because we don't get in life what we do, but we do get who we choose to be. And if we start becoming a version of ourselves that has synced and fused and become a true and complete energetic match for what we're looking to call in, the time and space naturally bend. Why? Because we've closed the gap. The perceived illusion of the gap that the manifestation is so big or so far away drops, dissolves, falls away, alchemizes completely out of your system until the manifestation is here now. And you're just living it. And you open your eyes and you're like, I feel like it's here. And you look around and you're like, oh, it is here. Like, I'm living in the prayer. I'm living in the dream. I'm living in the manifestation. Like, wait, it is actually here. And you have this moment of deep gratitude where you're like, I bent the time and the space. And I have this a lot, guys, where I feel like manifestations in my life, I'm like, I think they would have happened at some point, way out somewhere in my future. But because I know these tools and these techniques and I know how to bend the time and the space, things just happen faster, right? Things just happen faster. I saw a question about a deja vu pop up. I actually was talking about this in my last Mind Valley class, and I think this question was like, what is deja vu? Deja vu is very interesting, and my perspective and how I experience deja vu, I think we've all had it, right? Where you're like, I feel like I know this person. I've been here. I'm having a relapse. Like, I haven't been here though. And I don't know this person, but I do, right? And you have this deja vu moment. I believe and perceive that actually it's because we have alternative parallel realities happening simultaneously, because we're multidimensional beings having a multidimensional, very lucid experience of reality if we allow ourselves to come out of the constructs of the limiting ego and the limiting mind. And if we tap into the infinite realms of potentiality that are available, then often what happens is that in a parallel reality or universe, we have what's called a crossover point in the field of information, or you could call it a bleed-in, where information, because we're all just information at the end of the day, information from that realm, reality, parallel, universal dimension, whatever you'd like to call it, is actually bleeding and fusing into the now. And you're experiencing it in the now, in real time. And so you have this feeling of like, oh, I feel like this has happened before, or I've met this person, or I've been here, because you have, because it's happening simultaneously. But it's like the conscious mind can't process it because it's too much, right? We live in this like world of linear 3D duality of the box of like, this is life and this is how it is, right? But when you start having this multi-dimensional perspective and awareness, and you tap into altered states, and bending time is a very like normal thing that you're doing every day, then you start having these really beautiful moments, all right? Okay, what else is important? So we talked about the quantum entanglement starting to happen. And when this does happen, you start actually allowing yourself to have a deeper experience of non-linear time. So if we're able to come out of the linear time and we're able to disconnect from this paradigm of like, okay, time is in this straight line and it's organized in this system and it is what it is, and we have the past and then we have the future and we have the now. You see, what most people are doing is they're living here now, in the now, which keeps resetting. Every time I say the now, it's a new now, right? But they're here in the now. And what they're doing is they're unconsciously taking all the information from their past and they're copy pasting it into their future. Because they're saying, well, I would like to make that much money, but I can't because I tried to do that in the past and it didn't work. So let me take all that information and copy paste it into the now. I would love to be in an amazing relationship, but you know what? My last 3 were a total disaster. So I'm not that good at relationships. And they take all that information and they copy paste it. And then they're creating a future where they're just not that good at relationships. Why? Because unconsciously they copy pasted all of that old information from the now into the future. Now everyone, by the way, does this, right? Until they learn that this is absolutely insanity. But we do this because we've linked time to be linear. And we think there's this past and the future and the now. So what if there was a past and a future and a now, but what if it was actually all happening simultaneously? And what if we had access to all of the information? Because again, it's just information. What if we had access to all of this information from the past and also from the future, and we were able just in the now to zoom out, step back, and at any moment in time create a desired future that's not based off this past information, that's not based off how good you were or not in that area of life, right? Why could you not just step back, realize you're at now, and at now you could literally create any future outcome that you desire in your future? Now, again, in order to do this, you must really know that you are a sovereign manifester and that you are co-creating with the universe, and you're not living at effect as a victim of your life, as a victim of time, of everything's happening to me and there's nothing I can do about it and my life sucks and it just is what it is, right? How many humans live that way? It's crazy. Versus stepping back and being like, okay, I'm aware of that. That happened in the past. All of that went down. I can learn from that. I can love that. I can integrate those lessons. But now I'm at now. And actually, I want to anchor in a future that's like this. So give me a yes if you understand this. This is step 1. Because we're talking about bending time, right? The first access point is to disconnect from copy pasting unconsciously the past into the future. Yeah. So when you step back and you're at the now, here's what you can then do. If time is multidimensional and simultaneous, not linear, if it's malleable and you have access as a multidimensional being to all of the information simultaneously, if you were powerful enough to copy paste your past that doesn't really exist, hand me your past, go on, give it to me. You can't, right? If you were powerful enough to copy paste your past into the future, then why can you not copy paste your future into the now? Or maybe you can. Why could you not come back at now, also take a step back and be like, okay, I have a prayer, a vision, a dream, a manifestation, something that I would love to materialize. And I want to connect with that information and that manifestation, and let me gather up all of that information, because it's just information. It's all oscillating particles. Even everything that looks so solid and so still is moving, alive, awake, made up of light, vibration, sound, and frequency. And what if I was to gather that information, and just like on a computer, if you were to click, drag, and drop that information into the now? Well, I think that would be kind of useful. I think that would be maybe a good practice to start playing with. Let me connect with that future vision, dream, prayer, and intention that I desire to manifest. Let me connect with that information, gather up that information. I don't need to see it. I don't need to feel it. I just need to know through my own observer effect that I'm connecting with it. Click, drag, drop, import into the now. Integrate through my system. And from here, I choose to be that version of myself. From here, I choose to walk and talk and think and act from that frequency, embodied with that layer of information, right? And so you might say, well, Regan, I don't know if my manifestation's in my future. I mean, I would love it to be. I really want it. But I don't know if it's the divine alignment. I don't know if it's in the divine future, the divine plan, the divine timing, whatever divine word you're using. I don't know if it's for me. I would love it to be, but I don't know. So how would I access it if it's not there? Here's what I have to say to that. Desire. This word, I wrote about this recently on my stories. This is like such a banned word in the spiritual world. There are so many spiritual teachers being like, get rid of all that desire. Like, what are you doing? Desire is bad. You don't want any of it. You need to clear that out of you. No, namaste. You must be in the nothingness of zero desire, zero, like whatever, right? Blessings. Your soul speaks to you through desire. We're here in the human experience having a fully embodied, sensory, passionate, powerful experience. And so if you have a desire for a manifestation, a dream, a prayer, if you have a yearning, a lusting, a wanting, that is a good thing, because that is your soul telling you, you've already done it. You've already got it. It's already out there in your future, because your soul is telling you, yeah, there's something in you that wants this, because you already have that, because you already are that, so you can feel it. If it was not in your future, if you had not manifested it somewhere in the future, if it really, really genuinely wasn't for you, you wouldn't want it. You wouldn't feel it. You'd be like, I don't really care. I don't want that. You know, I might have a friend, for example, who might be like, Regan, like, I'm manifesting a red Ferrari and I'm so excited. I can't wait to get this Ferrari. I'm going to drive it all around. I'm going to pick up my friends in it. And it's like my dream car. And like, they can be telling me that so excited, and I can be happy for them. But there's currently not one part of me that just wants a red Ferrari. Like, there's nothing wrong with red Ferraris, but like, I live in the jungle. Personally, there's nowhere to drive a red Ferrari. And when I'm not in the jungle, I'm traveling, so I don't have my own car, right? So if I really, really, really wanted a red Ferrari, I'd be like, oh my God, I'm so happy for you. I really want one too. And that's probably because there's a red Ferrari somewhere out there in my future. Someone could tell me that story and I can just be like, that's awesome. And like, I don't really want that. But when you hear someone talking about a certain amount of money that they've made, and you feel like, I would love to make that too. When you hear someone talking about how they've changed their body and you're like, you know what? I want that level of health. When you hear someone talking about how they've manifested their ultimate relationship and you're like, I want that. Do not doubt that that is in your future. Do not doubt that somewhere out there, there's a version of you that's already done it, that's already become it. Because your soul is telling you through the desire that is yours, that is you. Your soul is telling you, this is in your future pathway. Now, if you surrender to that, it's really just a matter of bending the time and the space, because it's already done. You see, so many people are saying, how do I make it happen? How do I make it happen? I need to manifest this. What do I do? Okay, I'm going to create a vision board and do my journaling and do all these things. Now what do I do? How do I make it happen? How do I make it happen? How do I make it happen? Stop, right? How do I make it happen is from a frequency of telling the universe, I don't know how to make it happen, because I need to figure out how do I make it happen. And if I don't figure out how do I make it happen, it means it's not going to happen. So you're functioning from a frequency of fear. So what if, just what if, let's rewind a little bit. You have a dream, a prayer, a desire, and you know deep down in your gut, you're like, I want that. I unapologetically desire that. And because you have that desire and that pull, you know that it's already happened. You know that it's in your future. You know that it's already done. You know that it's somewhere, doesn't matter when, somewhere out there, it has manifested. So considering that you now know, because your soul has spoken to you through the desire that you want that thing, Now that you know that it's done, this is a very different conversation. This is not how do I make it happen, because it's actually already happened. This is a conversation of, you know what? It's already done. I know that it's done. It's out there in my future. How do I now get to accelerate the process? How do I get even better at bending the time and the space? How do I drop, dissolve, and shift out all of the old pathways that were maybe going to have it take a long time so it can show up now? And when you function from that place, that is a frequency of abundance. When you function from that place, that is no longer coming from a place of fear. That is from a place of deep surrender and recalibration with the universe as you participate in this manifestation process, as you allow yourself to lean even deeper into knowing that your manifestation is done, anchored, grounded, solidified, actualized in your life, somewhere out there in your future, in your reality. And now from here, you just get to play with the time. Now from here, you just get to upgrade yourself to being a deeper energetic match for what you're looking to call in. Who feels? Type in a yes if you feel almost like the weight off your shoulders. And it's like, oh, I don't have to make anything happen. I don't have to even figure out how it's going to happen. Now I get to just trust. Now I get to flow. Now I get to surrender. And this does not mean you lie on the couch and do nothing every day. Yeah, you get up, you call the person, you do the thing, and you write the book, and you launch the company, and you go do the things. But you're taking the action from a frequency of surrendered manifestation, not manufactured manifestation, where you're trying to control every little detail and line it all up to maybe someday, hopefully, if I hustle and work hard enough, get the thing. And I ran my life like for so many years that way from that frequency. And you want to know the challenge with manufactured manifestation? It works. You can still manifest things, but at what cost? Burned out, exhausted, hustle frequency, probably not sleeping, super stressed. I know for me it was like coffee, and some more coffee, right? My health went down the drain. I started to go crazy. Like, lucky I was like literally 21, 22. Because if I'd been my age now, I would be burning out if I was running my life from that frequency. It applies to every area of your life. Surrendered manifestation. Knowing that you know that that manifestation is done because your soul is speaking to you, because you have the desire to experience it in your life. And so from that place, connecting with all of that, you drop, dissolve, shift, and clear the time, bending it, allowing the future manifestation to come into the now. Now, an accelerator to that is for you to actually upgrade yourself and bring a different version of you to the table. I said this a little earlier. We don't get in life what we do get who we choose to be. So, the version of you that you are now has created your external reflection of your reality in your life. And if you're curious around what that looks like, just look at your life. Like, look at your bank account, look at your health, look at your relationships, look at your purpose, look at your creativity, look at your spiritual connections, look at your work. It's there, right? No good, bad, ugly, judgment. It just is. It is what it is, okay? Now, this version of you is, whether you like it or not, an accumulation of all the past versions of you that have done some great things, maybe done some not great things, made some choices that were awesome, maybe some choices that were not so awesome in the moment, right? Where a higher choice was available, which has accumulated you into the now. Now, once again, if we step out of that time-space construct and we remember that at any moment, there's a new now, a new now, a new now, and you are able to actually bring a different version of yourself to the altar of life, there's no one out there saying you must be this version of you now. No one. There's only you. So you can wake up any day of your life and say, you know what? I'm going to bring an entirely new version of me to the table right now. Now, there's two ways to do this. You can craft this from your mind, from the limiting constructs of your ego. And you can say, well, I think this version of me is like this and is like that. And she's powerful and she's confident and she's this and she's that. And you can craft all of this. It's okay. It's gonna get you somewhere. It's better than doing nothing. But there's another way to do this. There's a way to do this where you connect with a version of you that's already out there in your future, that has already manifested whatever it is that you desire. And you are able, just like the manifestation, to click, drag, and drop and import that information of the beingness, of the essence of who you actually are at your soul, and receive that information, allowing it to drop into the now. So, you might think this is really hard and complicated. I could give you a million of my different activations to be like, here's how you do this, and I can guide you through it. But I also want to tell you, you can do this yourself. You guys that are in my masterminds and trainings will hear me say all the time, like, don't rely on me. Yes, I'll guide you through things. Yes, I'll record things for you. Yes, I'll guide you through activations. And you are a manifester. You can do this yourself. You are a sovereign manifester. You do not need me. I can help you, but you do not need me. This is as simple as saying, let me connect with the version of me out in my future that's already manifested what I desire. And from here, ask yourself, how does this version of me walk? How does this version of me talk? What do they say yes to? What do they say no to? What do they say yes to that they were scared to say yes to before? What do they say no to that they were scared to say no to before? How do they walk and talk and think and act and be? How much water do they drink every day? What do they eat? How do they move their body? How do they dress? What do they focus on? How do they wake up in the morning? Details. I want the details when you do this. It's almost like you're having an interview with yourself, right? You're having this interview with yourself, and you're allowing yourself to simply access all of the information associated with the beingness of you. Now, what most people do is they're here at the now, and then gradually, eventually, after 1, 5, 10, 20, 25 years or more, they evolve into being a different version of themselves. More conscious, more awake, doing better things in the world. And that's cool. At least they evolved, right? Then there's people like you and me who says, you know what? Let me play with the time. What if I could bend the time and space and actually bring that version of me into the now and embody that version of me now, right now, and be that version and walk and talk and think and act and play the game of life from that frequency, making choices from my highest self, making decisions from this frequency of the version of me that's already manifested what I desire. This is not about fake it till you make it. This is not about becoming something you're not. This is about getting into the radical truth of the authenticity of who you actually are at your soul. Right? This is not fake it till you make it. This is not let me try and pretend I'm here in my life. No. This is about being authentic. And for me, the most authentic people on the planet are living every single day into the highest version of themselves. They're not tolerating the stories of that they're not good enough. They're not being out there being like, my life sucks, I'm a victim, he did that and she did this and this is so terrible. No. They're playing the game of life where they're like, you know what? Even if my life isn't where I want it to be right now, I'm showing up from this frequency. I know who I am. I know the light that I am. I know the power of my soul. I know that I'm a sovereign manifester. I have these desires and I know what's out there in my future. So I'm bringing this version of myself embodied through me in every single cell of my being now. You know, when I turn on this live stream, I'm not talking to you from a version of Regan that's just here right now, hanging out, right? I'm intentionally pulling in a future version of me and being speak through me. I'm intentionally connecting with a version of me that is operating in a higher frequency so that I can bring that frequency into the now. And many of you guys can feel that. And you feel that this version of me is a very different version of me than I was a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, for those of you who were here from the beginning, right? But you can do this constantly. Constantly. So ask yourself, that version of me out in the future, how do they walk and talk and think and act and be? What do they say yes to? What do they say no to? What do they no longer tolerate? How do they dress? What do they do every day? What are their manifestation rituals and practices? What does their spiritual connection with God or Great Spirit or the universe look like? What kind of friends do they have around them? What are their relationships like? How do they move their body? All of this counts. How do they feel each and every single day? What are they so deeply grateful for? What are they praying for? Because remember, if they've already manifested everything that you desire, well, they're not sitting there praying for the same things. They're working a level beyond that. They're in the vision beyond the vision, the layer beyond the layer, the prayer beyond the prayer. What is that prayer? Your prayer. The prayer of your highest essence. Right? You have full and complete access to all of that information. So when you connect with that, and you can journal on it and write it down, and then choose to live from that place, and choose to be from that place. And when you're at a choice point where you're like, do I go left or do I go right? Ask yourself, what would that highest iteration of me do right now? Your life becomes very simple. I'll go left. Okay, well that's kind of scary, but I'm going to do it anyway. Do I say yes or no to this? Yes or no? The mind has all the pros and the cons, and your best friend's telling you yes or no. And what does my highest self say right now? That's a clear no. Okay. It's a no. But Regan, here's all the reasons why you should say yes. I'm sorry, but that's a no. Right? Your life becomes very simple. And as you import this version of you into the now, you naturally bend the time. You naturally drop and dissolve all of these old timelines that have you figuring it out and taking so long in the manifestation, eventually somewhere in the future, because when you start being the version of you that's already manifested it, naturally that shows up in your 3D physical reality. Naturally, you create this reflection of your life that's a reflection of the version of you that you're choosing to tap into. So as you do this and you import that information from your highest essence and you write it down and you choose to live from this place and you commit to walking and talking and thinking and acting and being from this frequency, from here, you accelerate the energetic conditioning. You accelerate your capacity, we talked about this in the beginning, to become an energetic match for what you are looking to call in. Whatever has materialized or not in your life right now, it's because you are an energetic match for it or not. Now, some people don't like to hear that. Some people get annoyed with me when I say that. And they're like, oh, but like I just had this bad scenario. You're saying like my vibration attracted that? And I'm like, yeah. Yeah. And I know it sucks. And I have things in my life too where I'm like, damn, whew, that was in me. You know, my previous relationship, which for those of you who were here that long ago, was highly abusive and intense, physically and emotionally abusive. And I spent like 2 years trying to get out of that relationship. When I was out and finally out, you know, I could have lived a life where I said, oh, he's a terrible person. I was abused. All of this is wrong. And I'm not at all condemning the abuse or saying that was okay. But I want to tell you, I sat down when I was out. And I had a really serious conversation with myself because I was like, what is it within me that matched to that? And I knew that I got to look at that because otherwise, guess what? There was going to be another one coming along and another one coming along. And then other areas of my life where I would attract more abuse, more chaos, more drama, more peak intensity love with the crash of the hatred and the anger and all the craziness, back to the peak intensity love and these swings. I'm like, okay, these swings that I had in this relationship, where am I swinging? Where is my emotional state not grounded, solid in my center? Where am I actually all over the fucking show? Right? And even though it was hard and even though it was painful and even though I wanted to put everything outside of me and be like, bad and wrong, bad person, I was like, okay, I get to look at all of that. And I continuously do this in my life. I continuously look at pieces where I'm like, how did I attract that? Right? In business and money and scenarios, it's all a beautiful divine reflection. And if you're not caught up in the personal story and an attachment to what that means, you can really look at it with curiosity from the inside out. So I say this to have you realize that, again, everything you have or haven't manifested in your life right now is because at some level you're matching to that. But the good news is that you can change that. And if you condition yourself energetically to tap into the reality that you know is out there because you desire it and your soul is telling you that is out there in your future, if you nurture that vibration, if you spend time in that, if you import that version of you, if you allow the quantum entanglement to take place and fuse and become one with you, where your reality becomes so blurred that you don't know if it's a dream or has it happened or has it not. You don't even know, and you don't even care, because you know that you're conditioning yourself to become a full and complete energetic match for what you are calling in. And you'll know when you are a full and complete energetic match after all of this energetic conditioning, because the stuff will show up in your life and you'll be living into the prayer and the manifestation will happen, right? It will happen naturally, and it will happen with ease and grace. It will happen from a frequency of surrendered manifestation, where divine miracles get to lay themselves up in front of your life. And you're just every day in awe of the divine synchronicities of how magical your life actually gets to be. But not from a place of giving your power away and saying, oh my God, so much magic, I hope it doesn't stop at some point. Instead, you're like, there's a lot of magic going on right now, and I'm super good with that because I've been doing some magical stuff from the inside out, right? I've been doing some magical manifestation. I've been doing some magical time bending. I've been doing some magical importation of information from my highest essence into the now. I've been doing some magical quantum entanglement of actually fusing and alchemizing and becoming one with my desired prayer, dream, vision. I've been doing some magical listening to my soul and actually recognizing that that desire that I have is healthy and good, and I want more of it, and that feels amazing. So let me tap into that right now. And then your life becomes very fun. That's my summary, everybody. Well, guys, I think I have another call soon, so I am going to leave it here, I feel, and drop out of this portal and this vortex with you. But for those of you who've been on live, thank you so much. And we lose all of these comments on Instagram. I never know why Instagram does this. So if this has moved you, touched you, inspired you in some way, once I end this live stream, I will post it. Many of you guys were saying, like, please, can you save this? I want to watch this again. This is like a course in itself. Yes, I will save it and I will post it to my page. And if you are on this live, then go back and write on here how this has moved you and touched you and inspired you. And also, if you have questions around anything we've talked about, we talked about a lot, so there might be some questions around any of these pieces. Feel free to pop them on there, and I will do my best to jump back on at some point over the next few days and answer some of them. For those of you coming to Mind Valley University, I'm super excited to hug you. If you have any special requests on something you'd love for me to touch on my main stage talk, which is in week 3 on the Wednesday, I believe, feel free to pop that below as well, because I'm in a moment of just really like listening and grounding into where I want to anchor that. It is going to be on manifestation, but any like deeper desires and requests, feel free to pop that in there. For those of you coming to Kalilo in Greece on Eos Island, I can't wait to see you in August. And yeah, those are the main like in-person touch points over the next couple of months. And for the rest of you guys, we will stay connected through the grand interconnection of the interweb. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for being here and being just a part of this community. And yeah, it's really an honor to be your sister in manifestation as we walk this journey together. And I'm sending you all so much love. Have a beautiful day wherever you are in the world. And remember, of course, you absolutely can have it all. Mwah.